Oh yeah, Kings and Slash 3. Anoint mine eye with some ice out. Make me to see, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire. That thou mayst be, that thou may be rich. And white raiment, that you may be clothed, show your shame and your nakedness don't appear. Open mine eyes that I may behold and wondrous.
Shalom, Mishpachah, your brother Bethel back again, and that is to say, peace, family. Today we're talking about the destruction of Nicanor. It is that time of year, maybe not when you're seeing this video, but that time of year, the coming in of the new year, the ending of the old, that the memorial of the destruction of Nicanor be mentioned, be remembered, be uttered, be read, be remembered. And with that, we are going to start with the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 47. And it reads, Afterwards they took the spoils and the prey, and smote off Nicanor's head and his right hand, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them up toward Jerusalem. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah was in rest a little while, because we know we had much more to come. But we were in rest a little while this day, thanks to our brother Judas Maccabeus. So what led up to that? With that, let's go back to the beginning, chapter 7 and verse 1. So we know the 13th day of the month of Adar is the destruction of Nicanor, which the next day will be ushering in Purim. And it reads, In the 150th year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, departed from Rome, and came up with a few men unto a city of the sea coast, and reigned there. Demetrius, let's get you guys some information on him. All right, quick. Demetrius was a Greek. He was a Greek commander who initially served the Illyrian king Teuta during the First Illyrian War, 229 BC. He betrayed her by surrendering a key garrison. He betrayed her by surrendering a key garrison to the Romans, who rewarded him with rule over a portion of the Illyrian coast. However, he later broke his alliance with Rome by aiding their allies and expanding his territory. This led to the Second Illyrian War, 219 BC, where the Romans defeated him, forcing him to flee to the court of Philip V of Macedon. He spent his final years as a trusted advisor to Philip, eventually dying during an attempt to seize the city of Messene. All right. This is hold on. We want to, because this is, it gave some information about how he came to have possession of that particular sea coast. Right. So that part, he betrayed her by surrendering a key garrison to the Romans, who rewarded him with rule over a portion of the Illyrian coast. That part. That is this part where it says, and he came up with a few men unto a city of the sea coast and reigned there. So he's reigning on this sea coast, and this is that portion of the Illyrian coast. Okay, so the Bible is very much so a history book. History corroborates it, right? Let's read that again. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 7 and verse 1. In the 150th year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, departed from Rome and came up with a few men unto a city of the seacoast and reigned there. And as he entered into the palace of his ancestors, so it was that his forces had taken Antiochus and Lysaeus to bring them unto him. Wherefore, when he knew it, he said, Let me not see their faces. So his host slew them. Now when Demetrius was set upon the throne of his kingdom, there came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, or Yisrael, having Alcimus, who was desirous to be high priest for their captain. And they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren, have slain all thy friends, and driven us out of our own land. Now therefore send some man whom thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he hath done among us, and in the king's land, and let him punish him with all them that aid them. Then the king chose Bacchides, a friend of the king, who ruled beyond the flood, and was a great man in the kingdom, and faithful to the king. And him he sent with that wicked Alcimus, whom he made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance on the children of Israel. So they departed, and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words deceitfully. But they gave no heed to their words, for they saw they were come with a great power. Then did there assemble unto Alcimus and Bacchides a company of scribes to require justice. Now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them. So this right here shows us that the Assyrians were Yahudi. Okay? They were Israelites. There's a movie called Troy. In the beginning of the movie, Brad Pitt's character, who is Achilles, fights Boagrius. But the king comes out and he says to the Trojans, that's what the Assyrians said. So he was mentioning how they conquered the Yahudi, who were of a group of the Assyrians. Moving on, verse 14. For said they, one that is a priest of the seed of Aaron is come with this army, and he will do us no wrong. So he spake unto them peaceably, and sware unto them, saying, We will procure no harm, either you nor your friends. Hold on, let me check that. Excuse me. So he spake unto them peaceably, and sware unto them, saying, We will procure the harm neither of you nor your friends. Whereupon they believed him. Howbeit he took them 80 men, and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote. The flesh of thy saints have they cast out, and their blood have they shed round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, There is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and the oath that they made. After this removed Bacchides from Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bezeth, where he sent and took many of the men that had forsaken him, and certain of the people also, And when he had slain them, he cast them into the great pit. Then committed he the country of Alcimus. Then committed he the country to Alcimus, and left him with a power to aid him. So Bacchides went to the king, but Alcimus contended for the high priesthood. And unto him resorted all such as troubled the people, whom after they had gotten the land of Judah into their power, did much hurt in Israel. Now, when Judas saw all the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen. So these wicked Israelites are now doing even more than the Edomites have done. Now when Judas saw all the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen, he went out into all the coast of Judea round about, and took vengeance of them that had revolted from him, so they durst no more go forth into the country. On the other side, when Alcimus saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand, and he knew that he was not able to abide their force, he went again to the king, and said all the worst of them that he could. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people. So Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a great force, and sent unto Judas and his brethren deceitfully with friendly words, saying, Let there be no battle between me and you. I will come with a few men, that I may see you in peace. He came therefore to Judas, and they saluted one another peaceably. Howbeit, the enemies were prepared to take away Judas by force, which thing after it was known unto Judas, to wit, that he came unto him with deceit. He was sore afraid of him, and would see his face no more. Nicanor also, when he saw that his counsel was discovered, went out to fight against Judas beside Carfeslama, where they were slain of Nicanor's side about 5,000 men, and that rest fled into the city of David. You could be flowing while reading these scriptures, and then one of these old names come up, and it's like, make you have to stop and go back to basic and sound each syllable out. But, all praises to the Most High. That's our people, man, the way we call things or whatever have you. Then again, we might not even have named that. Let me not even say that. Nonetheless, verse 33. After this went Nicanor up to Mount Zion, and there came out of the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people to salute him peaceably, and to show him the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king. But he mocked them and laughed at them, and abused them shamefully, and spake proudly, and sware in his wrath, saying, Unless Judas and his hosts be now delivered into my hands, if ever I come again in safety, I will burn up this house. And with that he went out in a great rage. Then the priests entered in and stood before the altar in the temple, weeping and saying, O Lord, didst thou choose this house to be called thy name, and to be a house of prayer and petition for thy people? Be avenged of this man and his host, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer. Hang on 1 second. Because I know they just... Verse 32, after this went Nicanor up Mount Zion, and there came out of the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people to salute Nicanor peaceably, and to show him the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king. In my opinion, that's where they messed up right there. Why are they sacrificing for the king? And then he comes and disrespects them as it should have been. Because why are you offering a sacrifice for the king? Anyhow, so they deserve to be disrespected right there. Hmm. Verse 38, and then here in verse 36, they want to pray to Jehovah to be avenged of this man. But first, you was cooning for him, and let me highlight that. You cooning for him right here in verse 33, and then you praying to Jehovah to be avenged of him in verse 36. Mm. Just like Negroes, just like our people. Vote for the president, then when the president don't uh, live up to your expectations, now you hurt. We still ain't learned that lesson. Never trust thine enemy. Verse 36. Then the priest entered in and stood before the altar of the temple, weeping and saying, Thou, O Lord, didst choose this house to be called by thy name, and to be called the house of prayer and petition for thy people. Be avenged of this man and his host, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer. So Nicanor went out of Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Beth Horon, where an host out of Syria met him. But Judas pitched in Edessa with 3,000 men, and there he prayed, saying, O Jehovah, when they that were sent from the king of the Assyrians blasphemed, thine angel went out and smote 184,500 of them. Even so, destroy thou this host before us this day, that the rest may know that he hath spoken blasphemously against thy sanctuary, and judge them according to his wickedness. So the 13th day of the month Adar, the host joined battle. But Nicanor's host was discomfited, and he himself was first slain in the battle. Hallelujah. Now when Nicanor's host saw that he was slain, they cast away their weapons and fled. Then they pursued after them a day's journey from Edessa unto Gazera, sounding an alarm after them with their trumpets. Whereupon they came forth out of the towns of Judah round about, round about, and closed them in, so that they, turning back upon them that pursued them, were all slain with the sword, and not one of them was left. Hallelujah. Afterwards they took the spoils and the prey, and smote off Nicanor's head, and his right hand, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them up toward Jerusalem. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah was on a rest in a little while. So, hallelujah. We might copy these verses, or you may pair First Maccabees 7 with. We can pair this with Esther chapter 9 and 17. Because the 13th, as it reads here, I'll start at Esther chapter 9, verse 15. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews, or Yahudi, that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their forces 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same month, of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Yahudi that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day thereof. Of the same they rested, and made it a feasting, made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Yahudi of the villages that dwelt in unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar, a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. So, and this is Second Maccabees 15 and 34. So every man prayed toward the heaven of the glorious Lord, saying, Blessed be he that keepeth his own place undefiled. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of Jehovah. And they ordained all with a common decree in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day. So we understood the days of Purim were coming, which we know is in Esther. Moving forward 400 years, or how many years is that? Let's see. Hey Google, how many years was it between Esther and Judas Maccabeus?
Roughly 315 years separate the two. The timeline: Esther. Her story occurs during the reign of Xerxes I, approximately 480 to 470 BCE. Judas Maccabeus. He led the Jewish revolt starting around 167 BCE. Would you like a breakdown of the key events that happened during the intervening centuries?
So, according to Google, about roughly 315 years between these time periods. So, yeah, they understood um, Mordecai's day, which is like Purim, which we call Purim, and then um, which is preceded by the destruction of Nicanor. So this is your Black history, brothers and sisters. How interesting these great events take place during the time period of what the world calls Black History Month, right? So take these these historic events, add them to your family. Let them know we have a rich heritage. He knows our tribulation and poverty, but we are rich. We are rich in heritage, and we are rich in what we are to inherit. With that, I'm your brother Bethel. Shalom. Oh, let us remember the sister who poured the ointment on Christ's body for his burial. And with that, I'm your brother Bethel. Shalom.